Hey everyone, how's it going? It's that nerd Ryan here, and today for game review, we're going to be doing Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, Eyes of Heaven. So, I never expected to play this game. Obviously, being a Jojo's fan, I heard about it. I kind of heard like little bits and pieces about it and everything like that. But I never thought I would play it until one day I was at a disc replay just kind of trying to find a few missing games that I had. It was like buy 5, get the 6th free or something like that. So I was like, I might as well try to work that deal. And then I saw Jojo's Eyes of Heaven. And I immediately jumped on it. Obviously it was a used game, but it was a expensive game at that for used. It was like $33, and it's because it's so rare. And also so enjoyable. I also got the British version of this game. How I know that is because the rating was PEGI 12, not T, not E, PEGI 12. So I thought that was pretty cool too. I mean, it's one of my treasured possessions now, especially since JoJo merch is so hard to get. But yeah, it was kind of blown away that I got this game. So I kind of put off playing it for you guys because I was like, I want to try to get it to a point where I can enjoy it. And I finally did. So we're going to do it a little different here. We're going to talk about gameplay features first, and then we'll talk about the story. So the way this game works is it's a 2v2 fighting game. I want to say open world fighting, but not really. You get in stages, and you're kind of allowed to roam in the fight. You and your partner can do dual heat action moves, which is you hit 2 buttons, and then the two of you do a combo together. You can also do dual combos, which is different. It just helps the partner that you have, that is usually a computer, focus on a certain enemy. And then you have quick triggers for combos. You can also do the combos yourself. But I do like the quick trigger combos because I am notorious for just hitting the same button during fighting games. So it's nice to be able to just, hit R1 and then this button, or L1 and this button. You also get specials, which is your R1. So for example, for Jotaro, it's freezing time. For Josuke, it's creating shield. For Johnny, it's getting on and off your horse. Like stuff like that. So you do have to unlock skills to be able to get a full attack arsenal on the quick draws. But we'll talk about that in a second. Because I do want to say something about that after playing this game and playing Kakarot. But yeah, the dual fighting is good. The open areas are mostly good. I just don't like the Cairo rooftops, along with, I believe it's the Morio from Part 8. I don't really care for that one either. I do also think that the character selection in the story, I didn't get to do any like arcade mode or anything like that. The character selection is interesting in the story. It does favor playing Jotaro a lot. Really, Jotaro and Jonathan, it oddly enough also likes favoring putting Johnny and Jonathan together. Or like Joseph and Josuke we get a couple times as well. Just weird like constant combinations that we get. I will say Johnny is the hardest one to handle. Not just because of him being paraplegic, but also for the fact of when everybody else's main square attack, I'm just going to call it, is punching, his square attack is shooting his fingernails, which you're only allowed to do 10 times, and then you have to wait for a recharge. So that does get annoying. I mean, it's a powerful punch when you do it, but then you have to kind of sit around and sit in back. He's definitely more of a support character, but they do make you play as him instead of having him be your support. I do like the team-up gimmicks and stuff like that. I also like the idea of soul succession, so that means that when one either enemy or your ally gets down, there is a extra health bar of soul succession. So that's pretty fun. I do feel like a lot of the music and stuff is reused from All-Star Battle, though. That is my only complaint about like music and sound effects, is the exact same music and sound effects as All-Star Battle. Another thing I find interesting too is the time travel aspect. I do think it's funny too that Giorno never acknowledges that Dio's his father, and like stuff like that. But yeah, which we're going to talk about one more gameplay aspect, and then we'll get into the story. So, skill trees. I am not going to go on a long rant. I'm just going to say I'm not a fan of skill trees. To me, they're easily forgettable, and then you get tied down to where you have to use a skill tree, then it takes you a half an hour to fill the skill tree. So I'm personally not a fan of skill trees. However, I do kind of like the aspect of the skill trees designs in this game. Each design kind of fits each character. For example, Gyro Zeppeli, his skill tree is shaped in a spin, which I thought was pretty cool. But they are also hard to navigate when they're like that, because you do have to like do some gyrating with the controller to be able to get to it. So now let's talk about the story. So it picks up right at the beginning, or the ending of Stardust Crusaders, where Jotaro beats Dio. We get to see some of like the after effects that we see in the manga and anime, and some other added on stuff, and something that we see in Stone Ocean. When all of a sudden, recently deceased Kakyoin, Avdol, and Iggy show up. So that's where we get, and also with that, I'm sorry, Robert E.O. Speedwagon from Part 1 shows up too. So you're kind of caught off guard that all these people are showing up. You have to fight Kakyoin and Avdol as well as Iggy. Iggy and Avdol get away. Kakyoin's able to be turned back. And Speedwagon kind of explains what's going on, that there's these weird anomalies and everything. You then get to jump through different parts. I'm not going to go into detail for these parts yet, because it really kind of just plays off of, it's either at the ending of that part, or for Part 8, it's where they were at when this game was released. Or, for example, in Battle Tendency, it is before the fight with Cars, or with even WAMU or AC/DC. And I think Stone Ocean, it is before the final fight with Pucci. It's when Sea Moon is introduced. So you get to go through those parts, fight people from that era or from previous eras, and then recruit the Joestars and some of the Joe Bros. So at that point, you have to go and recruit everybody. I like the interesting idea of, for Steel Ball Run, only Jonathan can go there, so he can meet Johnny. And for Jojolian, only Josuke from Part 4 can go to get Josuke from Part 8. Also in that, there's a very cool mini-game, which is playing poker with Darby, which I think is probably the most fun I had in the game and the biggest highlight. But yeah, so you figure out everybody during this is hinting at the Noble One, which is obviously Dio. You find out halfway through that it's Dio anyways, but I mean, it's just obvious that it's Dio, especially if you're not a JoJo fan and you don't know about the Heaven Plan and anything like that. It's just obviously going to be Dio. So you find out that it's Dio, that it's an alternate reality version of him where he actually succeeded in Stardust Crusaders, and then did the Heaven Plan, and now has a new ability. What they don't show is what the new ability is. Funny Valentine also kind of starts showing up and like, hey, I'm going to test you guys. Actually, I'm here to help you. And then he gets erased from reality by Dio. In that, once they get all the corpse parts together, they go to face this Dio, who basically nullifies the two quote-unquote strongest stands of Golden Experience Requiem and Tusk Act 4 just completely negates their attacks, steals the corpse parts, and sends them off. So then they have to go back and take back the corpse parts to face Dio again. Before they do that, they face Poochie, and Jotaro and Jolene face off. Jotaro and Johnny face off against Dio, and then everybody else is kind of, every Jobro is captured by Dio and sent off. So the other Joestars have to go and save the Jobros. Once they do that, Dio unleashes his plan of taking 36 souls, which is the Jobros and the Joestars, which just leaves Jolene and Jotaro to fight Dio. So they end up fighting, and it turns out, guess what? Jotaro and Dio have the same exact stand, which I will rant about that at the end of my Stardust Crusaders review, but I think that's a cop-out, in my opinion. But because of that, Jotaro's able to beat Dio along with using his realities, Dio's wristbands, and like erasing him from existence and everything. And then they all live happily ever after. Nobody died, and everybody was happy. Then we get a post-credit scene of Diamond Does Unbreakable with Kid Jolene, which just made me so happy. But yeah, the story is pretty fun. The only issues that I have are that it does really favor Jotaro, and you don't even get to play as Josuke from Part 8. You get to play as literally everybody else but him. But like I said, it does really favor Jotaro, and I feel like it favors Josuke from Part 4 a lot as well, which I just find weird. I think that's probably because the anime just finished Stardust Crusaders. It was just starting Diamond Does Unbreakable as this game was coming out, so they probably wanted to put the two Joestars that people would identify with the most at that forefront. I also do feel that compared to All-Star Battle, the Hamon users are a lot more useful in this game. Same with the other type of fighters like the Vampiric or stuff like non-stand user fighters basically are more useful in this game than they are in All-Star Battle. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and give this game a 9 out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and follow me on all my social media down below. It's that Nerd Ryan, signing off.